Since 1954, you know how many churches have lost their tax-exempt status because of political speeches or preaching that has occurred? Zero. Zero. The reality is, it is an absolute paper tiger. That's right. And there is no reason to fear it. There is no reason to be silent. That's right. And you have been exhorted and encouraged to have this boldness and this spirit and to be unapologetic. And I would encourage you to do it. I was thinking a moment ago, it's like ham and eggs. You think about it, and all of us have had ham and eggs. There's two animals involved. You know, one is involved and one is committed. The chicken is involved and the pig is committed. I'm asking you, I don't compare you to my pig, but I'm just saying. One thing to be involved, but be committed. Wow, this is the time. This truly is. So have that boldness. I want to say one final thing, and that is to make a note of this. If you have a pen, write down this name. How many of you have ever heard of Ambrose of Milan? A couple. The fact that we haven't is amazing. I had never heard of him until just recently. I have a book that I would recommend to you. That it's an interesting book. It's 131 Christians that everybody should know. And I read this to my children. And I don't read it every night, but from time to time we take it down and read it. There's 2 or 3 or 4 pages on each one of these people. And the other night, several nights ago, I read to my boys about Ambrose of Milan. Phenomenal. Find out about this person. Ambrose, A-M-B-R-O-S-E, of Milan, Italy. The short version was this, real quick, and I'll tell you. He was a guy who was the Bishop of Milan. And he served actually under 3 different emperors. And while at that time it was, varying degrees of a Christian state, people didn't always act in accordance with that Christian faith. And in fact, there was an Emperor Theodosius who was a fairly fearsome fellow. And he actually had taken a charioteer who was the most popular of the charioteers. And he was like the superstar of that day, the star athlete. And he benched him. And he benched him, actually, ironically, in light of what's happening today, for his homosexual behavior, his overt homosexuality, and felt that was an affront not only to the state, but frankly, to the religion as well. And so this emperor benched him, basically imprisoned him, and said, I've warned you enough already. Well, the people were outraged. Just as we find people outraged today, and everyone's upset, and they're all unhappy at how unenlightened we all are, and unaccommodated. And so they actually revolted. And what they did is they actually burst into the prisons. They killed their governor. They killed other elected officials and appointed officials. I guess they were probably appointed in that day. They were people who were in charge, and they were killed. And they killed guards, and they freed this guy and other people that were in that prison and just turned them out. So the Emperor Theodosius said, fine, I've heard the people. You want to see him race. So he set up a chariot race in a coliseum. And he invited all the people to come. 7,000 people came to see their favorite charioteer. Because they knew the people had been heard, their voice had been powerful, and they had won the battle. They came in, and Theodosius locked the gates. Killed every single person. The king. But here's what's interesting. Ambrose of Milan called him out for that. He said, you have no authority, you have no right to take the lives of 7,000 people. He said, as long as I'm the bishop of Milan, you will not be welcome back into God's house unless you repent. Unless you come and prostrate yourself and repent. Do you honestly think that Theodosius gave a rip between 7,000 and 7,001? Probably not. It's that kind of boldness that you need to have. You need to call out anyone who stands between you and what is right. And to be concerned about people leaving your church, or somebody saying something wrong, or offending someone's sensibilities, we've got to transcend that. We need a level of intestinal fortitude among God's people, the likes of which we've not seen in a long, long time. And we need to be willing to call out the emperors if that's what it takes. And I'll tell you, Theodosius actually did repent. And he died in the arms of Ambrose of Milan some years later. And he said he was the only bishop in Italy worthy of his title. Wow. And he was a man who was called to task by someone like yourselves. And I just encourage you not to be afraid, to be bold, and to be bold to challenge even your own idea of what bold is. And to have the intestinal fortitude in the spine to stand in that gap, to stand on that wall, to sound the alarm. Because you know, watchmen on the wall, you're familiar with the passage in Ezekiel. The reality is, you see what's coming, we see it, we're talking about it. But what are we doing about it? If we don't sound the trumpet, what is it said? That it's on us. It's on the watchman. The watchman's the one who's held to account. This is what we're calling for. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience. Now you know how your congregation feels.